I'm Ken Semler. I'm the head of Impressive Building, the building companies, and that really encompasses Impressive Modular, Impressive Building Systems. We do Impressive Modular franchising. I also publish a magazine, Offsite Builder, and that's on the construction side. I'm a big supporter of our industry. I'm currently the president of the Modular Home Builders Association and a past chair and now again the vice chair. They like me so much they brought me back, the vice chair of the Building Systems Councils within the NAHB. So this is an industry that I love and I'm passionate about.
Okay, so what gets you so excited about modular? Like, what is? I mean, I know it's many things. If you could.
Well, I think it's a better way to build. I love the challenge of really it's a different methodology than site building. I came at this really from a perspective as I was a remodeler. I mean, I didn't come into this as a new home builder. I came into this as a rehab remodeler. And about 20 years ago, some customers asked me, said, "Hey, would you build our new house, not just remodel our house?" And so I had crews that were, I looked at the methodologies. Well, it seems like crazy to start a house from scratch when I knew modular existed and it took the same skill set as my current team. And I kind of, all of a sudden in the Northeast, I went from being nobody in like 2003 that 8 months later I was the largest builder of the factory, or the third largest builder of the factory I was working with. And I live outside of the DC area, so it was just a really good time to get into it. The boom was about to start taking place, and modular was a great way to build. So I've enjoyed it. I love the design with it. I love the challenges of the whole process and the custom work that we can do, the fruits of the rewards when we're done. Well, I always tell people we did a horrible job as an industry by creating the M word, mobile modular manufactured. There's tons of confusion. And what I always tell people, modular construction is simply, you just have to remember, there is no such thing as a modular home. Modular is a method of construction, not a type of home. Whereas a HUD code home is built to a specific federal building code, which is an affordability code. And there's nothing wrong with trying to build a more affordable house. But what we're building in the modular industry using modular construction is the same building to the same code as any house or structure that's next to it. When you look at it, when we bring new people to the industry to look at it, they come to a factory, they see a community. There's a night and day difference between the way homes are built, and once we get them here, they see the difference. And a difference for the better. But it's like you say, overcoming the education side is let's get them to that point. But I think COVID, and for lack of a better, it may be horrible to say it this way, COVID I think brought the industry forward. And what happened during COVID was it really accentuated the need for modular in the sense when I would do presentations at conferences, I would ask everybody, what's your biggest problem? They'd raise their hand. First thing was couldn't find people. Second thing was the cost of materials. Well, what happened during COVID was supply chain broke. Now you add that to the extreme increase in materials, especially with lumber during the time, and oh, by the way, I had no people. Well, then I would ask people to raise their hand at a conference, what's their top three things? And it actually became broken supply chain, prices, and couldn't find people. So the three things basically flipped in just in the first year or two, which was huge because now guess what? Modular solves those problems.
How
So
does modular solve those problems?
well, from a supply chain, let's just say you push all the headaches to the factory. So the factory takes more than 50% of your supply chain away. They take away most of the supply or the people problems. They let you lock in probably more than 50% of your invoice for your project. So if you're a developer and you're trying to say, oh my, what do I do in this situation? Well, let the factory do all the heavy lifting for you. In addition to that, you don't have the crime problems on site where product gets up and walks away. You don't have it exposed to the weather where it gets damaged or destroyed. So off-site construction, it doesn't exactly eliminate all the problems, but it gets rid of most of the problems for you as a builder or developer that you're facing in today's world.
Mm-hmm. So coming out of COVID, what have you seen?
Well, it actually hasn't changed that much yet in COVID. I work with the builders across the country, and I'm on calls each month. And for example, this last month, the builders, they haven't seen their delivery time frames shrink accordingly. So they're still having problems with people. Nobody's coming back into the industry. They're not seeing prices. Lumber has settled back down, but nothing else seems to have. So prices are still going up, and the people still don't want to come into the industry, or we're not getting the people into the industry that we need. So and where a production builder was building at 45 to 60 days prior to the COVID, you know, the COVID or shutdown, they now were looking at 100 to 140 days for most builders to still build construction and production. And it's just, that's not tenable. I mean, I've coined the term modular math to basically describe, do the math and see what the pro forma looks like, because we finally now have a way to get to assign speed of modular a dollar value. Because if I can get that house done or that project done 60, 90 days, maybe even 120 days sooner than site building it, then I can make that project have operational revenue 2 to 4 months sooner. That falls right to the bottom line of the pro forma. So even if we tell people, because one of the questions is, well, how much does it cost? Even if it costs me the exact same to build, technically, well, let me look at the operational revenue that comes in an additional because I did a project using modular construction, and that usually tilts everything to modular because now I've assigned speed a dollar value.